So how I got into the music industry was really starting to play music at high school, and then leaving high school and realizing that gigs existed. That's how I first started. I got out there in the world. I started playing some cover gigs for some local Adelaide agencies back in the day, and I had a lot of friends who were musicians, so yeah, it was pretty inspirational for me to get in and just play some gigs. Yeah, so my earliest memory of music was playing the organ in my childhood home when I was like maybe 2 or 3, and I just had access to it and I could fiddle around with it and change the sounds, and I still remember, and it was just one of those organs that you always see for free on Gumtree. Don't know what the brand was or anything, but yeah, I still remember playing around with that. And then as I got older, I think I was in a choir. I learned to play piano when I was really young in primary school as well. I also remember dancing to music a lot when I was a kid. Like, I've always really loved music. So the first gig I ever had was like back in 2003 at Billy Bob's Barbecue Jam at the Grace Emily Hotel, and I was one of those annoying people that was just starting out and wanted to play all the time. So thanks Billy Bob for putting me on the stage, even though I was probably really annoying and pretty shit. Okay, I have a favourite gig. It's hard to choose criteria for what my favourite gigs are. The craziest gig that I've ever had was me playing a venue on Hindley Street, and there was no one in there at all, but it just happened that that day was the Christmas party for the Crazy Horse, and everyone in there was either a stripper, a friend of a stripper, or worked for the strip club, and they were the nicest bunch of people, and also the wildest audience that I've ever had. Honestly, dude, that was the craziest gig I've ever had, and I think they scared everyone off except themselves, so it was really just me and the entire staff of Crazy Horse. It was very memorable. I can't fully remember. I remember my first original band gig. I had a band, well, I was in a band, I joined a band called Wang, W-A-N-G, that stood for Wide Area Network Gods. And I'm pretty sure our first gig was at the Enigma Bar for a Battle of the Bands competition, and we somehow won. Makes no sense. I have a turning point in music, and it was the day I realized that I am an artist. I am not just someone who's trying to write songs and do things. Like, I'm actually producing art, and I do it for myself, and it's part of my identity and who I am. And that was a big turning point for me, because I started putting a lot more effort into putting my music out into the world. The challenges you face being a musician, I think you have to have a high level of tolerance for being in different situations where you're appreciated in different amounts. One of the things that I've learned through gigging a lot is you have to be okay mostly being background music, and then occasionally you get to be at the forefront. But most of the time, when you're booked for a gig, if it's a cover gig, you're somewhere in the background, and that's your job. And it's a pretty amazing job to have, so you really have to look at the sunny side of that. And there's a lot of things that are quite draining, I guess, playing a lot of cover gigs. I think you've got to embrace the crap classics. Yes, I'm self-taught in every instrument to a degree. Every instrument that I play, not every single instrument on earth. I mostly have taught myself how to sing, but I have had some really amazing vocal coaches for periods of time, and that's helped me with moving through learning how to sing a lot faster. And with guitar, I'm entirely self-taught. It's just something I picked up, and I'm not a very good student, so I end up really just working on the things that I'm interested in, and that's how I've learned. I would describe my music style as always trying to be catchy, but also not cheesy. One thing that I really can't stand is cliche, unless it's ironic. I'm always focused on trying to come up with something that is reminiscent of things that are really good, but I've never heard it before, and I find it interesting for different reasons. And so that's why I don't write songs really quickly, as I'm always looking for something that is really interesting to me. My biggest inspirations in musicians are just friends of mine who are really exceptional at what they do. Sometimes it's mysterious how they got so good, but you start to realize that the more effort someone puts in, the better they are. And then there's a few singers like Jeff Buckley and Chris Cornell, who I just absolutely am huge fans of their voices and what they did with their voice in their own music. That's what I'm inspired by. The advice I would give to people who are just starting out with music, be prepared to learn some hard home truths about yourself and your own ability. Be okay with failing, and definitely just go out there and do stuff, otherwise you really just won't ever do it, or you'll do it really slowly. The best thing you can do for yourself is just dive in and take whatever feedback you've gotten on board, and then apply it and get a lot better. Thanks to Old House Productions for an amazing time, and yeah, it was super fun. And if you're a musician wondering how you can get on this channel, just fucking ask.